All right, now let's discuss this further. We're now joined via Zoom by Dr. Oscar van Heerden, a scholar of international relations, where he focuses on international political economy with an emphasis on Africa and SADC in particular. Dr. van Heerden, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Always a pleasure.
Good day, Nati.
Now, talk to us about, just the significance of these bilateral talks between South Africa and Russia on our home soil, and what should the rest of the world be reading into it? I mean, just especially given the current sweeping sanctions against Russia by Western nations, and of course, South Africa's insistence that it is a neutral in as far as the Ukraine-Russian war is concerned.
Well, you've hit it on the nail, Lunati. The significance, ordinarily this would just be another bilateral engagement with another country. But of course, in this case, because of the war between Russia and Ukraine and NATO, Western alliance countries, this is why this particular visit is so significant, because all eyes on South Africa. As you rightfully point out, South Africa opted not to condemn the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, and rather took a non-aligned position that says that we feel that a diplomatic solution must be sought, and continued fighting is not going to resolve the matter. So I think this is why this particular engagement is so important for everyone.
And what may the conversations around just the Ukraine-Russia war be, particularly because, like you've said, and as I've read in the previous report, that, South Africa has adopted this non-aligned position when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. But early on, we know that Minister Pandor joked about, the country being our friends.
Yes, I mean, I think Minister Pandor has elaborated on the point to say that this war, whichever way we look at it, is affecting the globe. It's affecting South Africa. We know that it is impacting negatively on energy supplies in terms of oil, in terms of gas and so forth, which then has a ripple effect and negatively impacts in the entire world, including South Africa. Rising prices in recent months, food prices, energy prices, etc., are all because of a result of this conflict. And so I think Minister Pandor is trying to say that it is in everyone's best interest to find a speedy resolution to the conflict. And she emphasizes the fact that that must be done through diplomatic channels and negotiations. The geostrategic or the geopolitical issue here, which is the undercurrent that both Minister Pandor and Minister Lavrov alluded to, is also the changing nature of the geopolitical system in the world. They talk of transformation that must happen in the United Nations and the United Nations structures. Minister Lavrov in particular, I think, hinted at throwing in a carrot towards South Africa that says, if there's going to be talk, as there must be, with the transformation of the UN Security Council, then they would look favorably upon the membership of African countries, and I would imagine implying of South Africa. So I think that Russia is in a position where it's going around the world. It's seen by many as the aggressor in this conflict, and so friends are few. And I think that the emphasis on BRICS, on partnerships, on relations is very important for both countries.
Absolutely. Next month is also another crucial month. South Africa will, go ahead with that naval exercise off its eastern coast with Russia and some Chinese warships. Of course, that's also drawn some criticism. Early on, Minister Pandor, in fact, defended this decision, saying that, hosting such exercises with friends, was the natural course of relations. What impact, if any, will this have on South Africa's relationships with, some of its biggest trading partners, such as, the US, the UK, the EU, who are backing Ukraine in this very conflict?
Well, this is indeed the issue. South Africa is taking a stand. It's saying that it is not going to be drawn in to take sides. It's not healthy to do that. They are saying that they obviously oppose any war whether it's happening on the African continent or elsewhere in the world, and that a speedy solution or resolution to the conflict must be sought. However, it is not going to. The extension of the position of not wanting to take sides does then imply that it is going to also continue with its normal affairs. These exercises have been long in the planning. They are in a partnership with China and Russia in the BRICS formation. And so South Africa, I think, is making no apologies of the fact that it is participating with these exercises, which was planned long ago. You would recall, Unati, not so long ago, South Africa also participated in military exercises off our coast with the Americans. And I don't recall there being such an outcry when that happened. And so I think South Africa is saying this is the normal course of relations, and they are going to participate. Remember, lastly, also that South Africa this year is the chairman or the chairpersonship of BRICS, which is also going to host the BRICS formation countries in August later this year. And so South Africa is sending a very strong message, whether some people believe it's hitting above the belt, but South Africa is saying we are not going to be drawn in to take sides in this unfortunate conflict.
Certainly. Dr. van Heerden, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate your analysis. Of course, that was Dr. Oscar van Heerden, a scholar of international relations.